Telos Axia Altus brings the features of a traditional console to a desktop and laptop computers, tablets, smartphones running any model web browser. Full functioning mixing, including 8 virtual auxiliary mixers and integration with Telos broadcast phone systems, allows distributed workforces to collaborate on recorded programs and live broadcasts. So, Mary, tell me about this.
Well, this is interesting. This is a new virtual console that they've made from the ground up. It's not a redesign of any hardware. So there's a lot of thought that was put into it as to how people would use it. Now, the question is, though, I think, will journalists and DJs, will they actually accept this? Because you're going from having that feel of a console, of a physical console in front of you, to having to work with, let's say, a touch screen. I think for a lot of people, it'll be okay, but I think there are journalists out there that aren't going to accept it as easily. The other question is, well, how do you get audio in and out of this? So I think you'll start to see a lot of peripheral products. It certainly is great, though, for smaller operations, for journalists reporting from a site. They could have anything they wanted without having to haul a small console with them. So it's certainly the wave of the future, but how quickly radio broadcasters are going to virtualization, I'm not quite sure. But Philip, what is your thought about that? How are people accepting virtualization in the video part of our world?
Well, I think they're accepting it well. The question I always had, and the adoption has always been on these virtual interfaces, is, on a touchscreen. We're used to using iPads and moving things around. And I admit occasionally when I'm on my laptop, I go to touch the screen because I'm so used to doing that. But in the audio world, used to seeing these giant audio consoles and people riding the faders and stuff. Does that happen? Are people going to, do they really need to do that? Is that just something that was a thing of the past because we didn't have automations that maybe we have automations today? Is it going to be easier? And you're really just making minor adjustments on that touch screen or with that mouse, because obviously with a mouse, you can only move one at a time. With a touch screen, I guess you could move multiple sliders. I mean, how does the audio world, how does that work? Is it, again, riding those sliders, or is it really just making the adjustments once, fine tuning them once you've got them set?
I think it's force of habit. I think for a lot of people, we're just used to using the console. It's almost a comfort. So then to switch to something that you can't feel those faders, even if, as you say, and you're absolutely right, we're not using them that much. It's just habit.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I know in the master control world, it was something that took a long time, or took longer than you would expect. And they wanted that sort of that touch panel. But I think what's happening is you're going to see the control surfaces get much, much smaller, because you do have that soft panel that you don't need the giant controller, and you may have something that's more macro driven. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as time goes, and that younger generation becomes those running this who are so used to using their iPads.